Well, we all have those insecurities, right? Like as creative, you always like, hey, this person copied my work, and I'm like, well, I'll get really, really mad when somebody did that, but I just let it out, and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Please subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay tuned to the latest updates at the Powder Room Talk.
Hello, I'm JJ Liu. Welcome to the Powder Room with me and my girlfriends, Viola Mananta and Regina Widjaja. The Powder Room is where we get real, and today we're going to talk about how do we become the change we want to see in the world. And as always, we have wonderful women amongst us, and joining us today is our good friend, Santi Alaysius, who is the founder of Domicilium Studios and DMDO. Santi is one of the prominent interior designers of Indonesia who has designed the residence of Hollywood star Jennifer Lopez. On top of that, she has also designed award-winning high-profile projects like the US Pavilion in the 2005 World Expo in Japan. The Domicilium Studios is also the creatives behind Indonesia's first boutique design hotel called Kusenda. On top of all that creativity, Santi is also one of TEDx organizers in Indonesia, where they ignite many meaningful conversations. So without further ado, let's come on into the Powder Room. To the Powder Room, Santi.
And thank you for having us in your space today.
This is also the first time I'm being here. My friend had an event in Ruang 29, but at that time it was empty. So maybe Santi, you can tell us a bit what is the vision behind Ruang 29 and also the new venture that you're having, the Fred Halley over here.
So Ruang 29 is basically a concept, a very simple concept of renting a multifunction spaces basically that you can rent for events like workshop. If you want to do workshops like flower workshops, or if you want to do like private dinner parties, or
like
my
birthday.
Pre-COVID. Yeah, exactly. Or even like weddings, like those small weddings. Pretty much anything, because we have a really nice kitchen back there as well.
Yes.
So it's a very, very simple concept, but lately, because of the pandemic, we're making use of this space to be somewhat like a retail experience space for Fred Halley, that's my new baby. That's a Corona baby, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Wow, congratulations. And please tell us more. I mean, I'm looking, I was like, oh, maybe I should go on a shopping spree after this. Everything is so awesome
What's the
here.
concept of Fred Halley actually?
Well, Fred Halley, the name itself, it came from two Norwegian words, Fred and Halley. Actually, in the original spelling of Halley, there's no H behind at the end of the word. I just add the H for home. So basically it means, Fred means peace, Halley is holy or holiday. So it's basically the whole tagline is peaceful holiday at home.
Oh wow! Talk about creativity, right? Hello,
so I like to play around with words, and I hope that some Norwegian people really get it. And because I really admire how the Scandinavian culture,
the culture and the way they live,
way of living, the hygge and everything else. I mean, it's very I mean, it's very wholesome, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that we can adopt that anywhere in the world. So that's how Fred Helly actually was born, because I felt like home is very important. It's a place for you to basically, that's your home base. It's where you're coming from, and your whole entire life is basically starts from home, right?
Yeah. But can you tell us a little bit about also how you source?
Yeah, I was about to ask how you source this. Where
There's a lot of stories behind that. So maybe not a lot of you guys know that I'm actually a trained professional buyer.
Wow, no, I did not know that.
Yes,
That's amazing.
Before I studied interior architecture, I had another degree. I studied fashion marketing and management. That's where I got trained as a professional buyer.
Yeah.
So, so that I think that passion has kind of coming back this past years. Like, I like shopping. I've been shopping for other people, right? For my clients, for my domicilium clients.
Yes,
right?
of course. Yeah.
But I have this itching, like, you know, thing in my heart saying that I want to curate. I want to have a shop. I really want to have a shop. So along the way with my domicilium studio projects, I always go to different areas in Indonesia to basically scout for many different accessories, things. I met with a lot of craftsmen and makers, local makers, and I see there's a lot of potentials, but that not a lot of people from our end, from Indonesia, really see it. And most of the time, it's only they make it for the international market. They export it, and I was like,
It's not for
such
local
a shame.
consumption.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not for our own consumption.
Yeah, our own.
You know?
Because there's no appreciation
I
here
was
yet.
going to say a
Yet,
lack of
right?
appreciation, or maybe awareness that we have amazing craftsmen. Yeah.
Yeah, we have like world-class fragments in Indonesia, but not a lot of people know how to put them all together or even work together with them, and we create something together. With my knowledge, a lot of time I design together with the craftsmen themselves, and we complete each other. I think I like that process. Also, that's what we have Fred Helly as well now.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
That is
Yeah, we love this place. And also next door, you have a nice coffee place called Guten Morgen Coffee, and they're sponsoring our drinks and our pastry today. Today we're having our pastry served by Guten Morgen Coffee, which is right next door from Fred Helly. This is their fluffy, gluten-free Japanese cheesecake and some traditional Indonesian potato donuts with chocolate sprinkles. I really also love their vegan coconut latte, which is their signature. The beautiful table decoration with dried flowers is from Mimsy Botanicals.
Like I've heard from JJ and Lola that you actually graduated from overseas, right? So you took some time studying overseas, and you have made huge success over there, and then you also came back to Indonesia, started the interior design business as well with starting up this new venture. What was the driver behind that? Like, what makes you want to come back? You know, what is in your mind when you want to come back and to build others as well? What is the drive behind that?
Well, when I was in the States, I worked for several years. I worked for 4 years before I came back here as interior designers for hospitality company. So we've been specifying a lot of materials, even furnitures or even finishes like wallpaper, beautiful stuff that is actually made in Indonesia.
Wow.
And I was really baffled because how come I didn't know about this?
Yeah.
How come? Like, how come not a lot of people know, like, they don't even use this kind of stuff back home?
Wallpaper too. I did not know
Wallpaper
that.
too. Not only that, I mean, like,
I
a
didn't know
lot of, like, some really, like, high-end furniture line in the States, actually, they produce them here
Wow.
for years and years.
Oh yeah, I heard that actually.
Yeah.
I think so. It's exported, right?
Right. I was really surprised that not a lot of our people know about this kind of stuff. So when I decided to go home, I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. This is something that we can actually do, and maybe one of the reasons why I want to go back home, because I saw that there's a lot of opportunity in the design world that not being explored yet, and also I can use my skill in buying in the fashion business and that my first degree and my second degree combined together, and how to make something different out of it. Yeah.
So when you curated all this, or even when you source, the material, when you have that kind of thoughts that, oh, I have this bag in my country, and nobody's ever heard about it, and you feel like maybe with what you are doing, you're trying to lift up other people as well, lift up Indonesian craftsmanship in a way, something that I, as an Indonesian, probably never really realized it. When she talked about lifting up others as well, because what she's doing is actually lifting up all the craftsmen that is doing this, make them well known even for their own country.
Yeah.
Is it difficult actually for women to lift others up in a way? Because for me, when I was younger, I always feel like, okay, I want to lift other people's up. I want to lift my friends, maybe this person is doing well, I want to lift her up. But sometimes it's kind of difficult because I felt like there is unsatisfaction even in myself. Like I like to tell my friends like, oh, she's pretty, but she's divorced. That kind of negative comment out of people's success.
And try to take them down.
Like, oh, do you know that last year she just, being caught by police because she did some mistake. So we try to shadow other people's success.
So we look better.
Or make that person look so bad.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Like, why is it so difficult for women to actually lift other people's up?
Like for me, I really like that you actually asked that question about why is it difficult, because in my role as a life and business coach.
Do you find it difficult, or do you think it's actually just my thoughts?
No, I do commonly, I do observe that usually when we have the tendency to compare ourselves or to take an opportunity to say shadow or belittle someone else, it always stems from low self-esteem and also a lack of confidence. So today we're talking about being a change maker. That requires us to actually empower someone, right?
Yeah.
And I really think the root of empowerment has to come from us individually first, that there is this wholeness about us, because nobody can pour from an empty cup. And with that wholeness, it gives you power to empower others. And I would really love to see that happening genuinely, like what Santi is doing, and I mean, just in the world, it's just not happening enough.
Do you do it consciously when you curated all this and helping the craftsmen in Indonesia? Do you do it consciously in a way?
In a way, it's more like I do things that what makes me happy and content inside first. So, because the first time when I came back home 11 years ago, it was really big struggle. It was more like kicking and screaming, kind of going back home, but I kind of have to do it because I think
I relate.
I think the greater power out there is saying that I have to do this, but in my heart I was like, I hate this. I don't want to do this, but I have to do it. I know. So I listen to that other more positive voice other than the other kicking and screaming, and I never regret it. And my focus that time 11 years ago, I was just like, okay, I just need to make myself happy first.
That's true.
I just have to be very secure and content.
Wow.
Yes.
That's when we met.
Yeah. That's
I was searching for a lot of things. I was searching and searching, right? So that was really important because I think I read it somewhere, a quote, was it Oprah Winfrey or something? You just, to live a happy life, you need to learn how to give. Also, the more you give, the more you get.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, the more you share, the more knowledge that you get from sharing. Because you're not only sharing, you're not only actually sharing it to everyone around you, but you're actually getting some from them as well.
Yeah.
True.
Wow, yeah.
That is so true.
Now, and I just realized that a lot of creative people here, they're really afraid of sharing.
Exactly. I feel you, in the fashion industry too, there's this fear of collaboration.
Right, like sharing
being
the spotlight.
Yeah.
But it really comes out of an insecurity, right?
Right,
I mean,
because they're not happy.
And they're not happy, and they're also not secure that if they inspire other people, they think they're gonna get copied or then they think they will not have anything else.
Yeah.
As if it's like, I think it's a mindset of scarcity that people have. And a lot of people have, right? I'm not saying everyone, and it usually comes out of a very unhappy, insecure place, right? And that's one of the reasons, I guess, why you need to be happy first. You need to be secure first in who you are and what you do. And out of that abundance, I think it's it's much easier to overflow and collaborate with others, not being scared to, you know, to give away knowledge. Like, you know, like.
Do you think maturity plays a role then in what you're saying?
Absolutely. And maybe also what Regina was saying, it was harder for her when she was younger and she struggled with it. And I think we all struggle with it when we're younger because we're not there yet. We don't understand it fully. We haven't really found ourselves yet in a way, right?
Yeah.
And the more we mature and we find ourselves and we find what actually who we are, and we're more confident in our identity as well, then we can be that, you know, we can find it in us that we can actually not just live for ourselves and not just circle around ourselves, but we can actually pour out to others. We have a bigger calling than just our own life, right?
Yeah. Well, we all have those insecurities, right? Like as creatives, we always like,
of course.
hey, this person copied my work, and I'm like, okay, meaning that I have to move from this spot to the other. I have to make something better. I have to keep on moving. I cannot just be in the same spot and be bitter about it. Meaning we have to get. Well, I'll get really, really mad when somebody did that, but I just let it out and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Next, what is next? I mean, like, I'm not perfect. I mean, I really admire, I do have that really like, ooh, you know, why did you even do that? That's so not classy. I was like, wait, hold on. Okay, I need to do something else.
Instead of dwelling in that space, right? And like just even in our sharing just now, like there's like two words that actually pop up in my head, which is humility and ecosystem. I mean, don't you think like if we have the humility to truly create an ecosystem where we can actually make, you know, each other's strengths shine, and then create an environment where we can actually, you know, bridge the gap where our weaknesses are covered by each other. I think like I would like to call this like, I don't know, women's united power. Like, wouldn't it be so nurturing for the world?
Well, actually, we naturally, women, we like to work in groups.
Social.
We're very social.
Social creatures.
Yeah, we're very social. I think it's just that we have to be very aware with our action, our individual actions. And again, not trying to overshadow somebody's success and trying to basically positivity and like trying to shine lights in each other. I think that's one way to do it also. And again, I mean, we're not perfect. We have our dark moments. We just have to work on our dark moments and our like inner, you know, we all have that. It's not like we're all
I was telling JJ at that time, I was like, the reason sometimes also, like you mentioned, creating an ecosystem and humility, and then you were talking about why people are so afraid to share their thoughts and ideas, because people always think everything is like a competition. Maybe not out loud, but it's always like a competition, even in maybe between moms at school. Like
I heard
even more stories. That's where it starts. Not even. That's where it starts.
That's where it starts. School is where it starts. Wow.
Well, I don't have kids, but I have nephews and nieces, and my sister will tell me stories, right? Like she's a full-time corporate lady, and then sometimes she has in a group of moms at school. And she was like, oh my God, how do they have time to talk about this? Sometimes that's what she said. Or maybe a little comparison or other people who is working, and she start to think, you know, I may not be a good mother because, you know, other people have full time for their children while I have to work.
Oh, that's not true.
Or also talent is a competition. Like they feel like I have to look much better than you, like the one that I mentioned before. So when we even compete on such a small trivial thing, whether you are more pretty than me, whether you're flat, your abs is flatter than me, or even maybe, how come the lipstick looks better on her rather than me? Sometimes women tends to judge, comparison. So you're so afraid to share.
And so afraid to highlight someone else's beauty and talents,
like
I guess.
it takes maturity to actually do that.
Wow.
And maybe also because like when you mention why we are not comfortable to share our ideas, maybe they had, you know, bad experience. Like maybe people steal their ideas before, and they felt hurt. They don't want to share it again. Because it's like, it's how my hard work.
It's the trauma.
It's a trauma,
Put down, right?
Put down,
But what I want to say is, whatever talent that we all have is never be a competition because everybody is different.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Santi.
Acceptance, I think.
You know,
right?
like I can be very insecure sitting beside Santi and say, oh my God, look what she has done with this face. I will never be able to do this. You know,
like,
that
well,
kind
is
of
my home gonna be as
yeah.
And I
tasteful as this?
Yeah, and I feel like oftentimes like it's those things that make us small as women or as people, right?
Yeah.
Like we judge each other, we
Yeah.
put each other down, and that will make us small, and we actually don't see that there is more in our life that we could actually do. And
It's holding you back. Like it's holding
you back from the real things. Like there's so much to do in this world that you could focus on. But if you focus on the itsy bitsy faults in yourself and in other people, I don't think you can actually follow your calling and bring change to this world, right? And I was just thinking, like what you said, you know, like if we women actually bring each other up instead, and we encourage each other, and we collaborate with each other, we actually can change the things that we don't like in this country, in this world, in our industry, in our society. And I really think like, we can be that change, and I don't think any of us has to be that change all by ourselves. We can be that change together, right?
Yes.
And instead of always complaining about the things we don't like, we actually might find the strength and the courage to work step by step on little things that we could actually improve, right? Like, how can we improve culture? How can we improve our industry? How can we improve the society, right? And I think it starts with finding that confidence with each other and by supporting and encouraging each other.
And also acceptance. You're
I like that word,
accepting yourself first.
Yeah.
Then you accept other people's and try to be very, how you call it, have that empathy towards other people. If you accept yourself, you forgive yourself with all your flawness, your flaw and things that you don't like about yourself.
Yes.
Then you can starting to have that empathy to other people, so you wouldn't have that kind of like judgmental, you know, comments. And I think that's one thing that is a big word, the acceptance. That's what I learned back then when I was trying to heal myself as well, because it was such a really hard time for me back then, because I had to, because I was really successful, and then all of a sudden I have to come back home and live with my parents again, and I was that was like, I felt like my wings were clipped. Dude. I felt my wings were clipped. I'm like, done. Life is done. And I have to start from the bottom again.
Because over here is everything is new, right? For you.
So I did a lot of work inside myself. Like, I think the key was like, I read a lot of Oprah Winfrey's, and I went to IS as well. You know? And the key is the self-acceptance, I think, to be able to just you know, start doing.
You need to do work inside.
Inner
you.
work.
Make peace.
And just like accept your darkness, your lightness, whatever flaw it is. Just have to accept it and be peace.
I like how you said like that word acceptance, accepting your darkness, accepting your light, because like what I'm hearing from the sharing and also what you've mentioned from your experience is that you were able to accept yourself, and then that is, you know, that's how you were able to take your success to collaborate with someone else. So you will look at someone else with acceptance too, because it first takes us accepting ourselves, because when we have a problem accepting ourselves, we have a hard time working with other women, because we start comparing, like we were saying. You know, we'd be like, oh,
judging.
Man, if I work with her, she's gonna overshadow me. If I, oh, I'm, you know, I'm on set with Viola, and I am almost half her size, and you know,
not really.
I will be,
Well, almost.
you know, almost
But wider.
Like, you know, I would be compared that, you know, I'm this little mini person next to a beautiful German glamazon, you know.
I'm not as eloquent as JJ, so I feel very inferior.
Because we start to look at all the flaws that we have.
All the flaws that we have.
Before you actually want to.
detrimental.
I like when you say sometimes we have all this thought, oh, I want to change this, I want to change this, I want to change that, but we just never take the step to actually be the change that we all wanted to be in a way. We just have that kind of, I want to change this. Okay, I think the government, you know, we have to do this. Yeah, but then what have you done? sometimes.
But you know, I mean, everyone has those insecurities, right? And I think everyone has a different field what they call to or what they actually would be good in. But then there's this stuff holding us back. Like you know, like I might have a platform to speak and I could voice out my thoughts. But if I'm too timid and too insecure to take the mic, what's that platform? You know, it's useless. There will not be any change that I can bring. So I have to first push through these fears and push through my insecurities and do it maybe even while I'm afraid. And I mean that I'm sitting here talking today. I didn't think I was going to do that because I was so insecure. I live in this bubble of, you know, like my husband's in entertainment, so I live in this bubble of all these amazing, beautiful, smart, eloquent people. They take a mic and suddenly the whole room is like,
Oh yeah.
you know, and
Including your husband.
and if
so amazed by him.
yeah, and when my husband starts a conversation for the camera, he's just like, boom, you know, it's just amazing. I'm like, how did you do that? So why would I talk in front of camera if I feel like I'm not there, I'll never be as good, you know, like why would I'm not important enough, and all those kind of doubts come into your mind, right? And that's just my example, but
what changed
what if
you?
someone, no, I mean there's like other things, right? Like what if someone could be a really good president for Indonesia? Like this is a really big example, right? What if someone is born with the talent to be the president of Indonesia and be like the best president the country's ever seen, but they don't want to have, they're scared of the criticism and the constant media exposure and every step will be commented. What if that's what's keeping them back?
Okay, so I think, Lola, there was a very good examples that you were talking about, right? Sometimes like you have the potential to make the change or contributing to the change in the world. Like you said, maybe he or she was born as a president, you know, but along the time, you know, because of fear or insecurities, that person didn't reach the full potential of making the change into the world. So what do you ladies think that holding us back in contributing to the change in making or the things that we complain about? You know, we complain about a lot of things, right? For sure. But what is holding us back to actually make or contribute to the change or be the change itself?
I think for me, one of the, like, I guess $1 million question we should actually ask ourselves is that there is a personal cost for the change that we want to see. So
sacrifice,
like,
you mean?
every change requires like sacrifice on our part, right? Like you know, it comes with the willingness to be burdened, to take on that problem solving. And, you know, there are also times like to take on a challenge, you know, it also involves our time, our financial resources at time, and to actually make that commitment. You know, sometimes most of these problems or issues that we're trying to deal with may not have any direct self-benefit to us. And I think that is when we start, you know, thinking about, you know, calculating our self-interest for empowering others. How is that going to how is that going to come back to me? And I think, you know, that personal cost, you know, we all always have a lot of good ideas that we want to see this change, we think this needs to be improved, that needs to be done. But I think thinking about something and actually committing yourself and doing it is a huge difference. Like the word empowerment is, you know, such an overused, you know, lingo. You know, sometimes empowering someone else can be tiring and it can take a lot out of you, and sometimes you're really lifting somebody where you actually see their potential and you're like, I see there's a light inside of you. Like you were talking about darkness and lightness just now, and usually successful people we've gone through, you know, journeys where we know, wow, there's no way there is no darkness that we have to overcome. And because we have gone through that journey of acceptance, we learn how to be gentle on others. So when we see, you know, it's very natural, like we want to lift someone up, but how do we do that without actually giving away? Like you said, giving away. The more you give, the more you share, the more you gain, but that requires that first step or that willingness to want to do that. There is a personal cost. And sometimes everything sounds wonderful until someone realizes like, oh, there is a price.
There's a
am I
price to pay,
willing
yeah,
to
to
pay
pay
that
the
price,
price.
right?
That's true.
I still remember there was that one time, many years ago, I was still working in the family business. I just happened to walk past my mother was having a meeting with, I think it was one of the business partners, right? And I was just walking past, heading back to my room, and then I overheard the conversation where he is, he was just saying, "Oh, JJ always looks very tired." And then, because my mother's English is not very good, so to that, she replied very simply, and she's like, she spends too much time helping other people, always forget to rest. But the tone that my mother said it in made me take a step back, because, mothers know best, right? And it made me think about, like, oh, was that my mom giving me a compliment? Or is that something I should be concerned about? So I actually had to, I went back to my room, I sat there, and I was like trying to digest that comment, and I had to actually deep dive and ask myself, actually, what was my intention and real reason? But then I had to ask myself, like, okay, this price that I have been paying, where is it coming from? Why am I actually putting myself out there to help someone? And when I really asked myself that $1 million question, is this a price you're willing to keep paying, JJ? And it was a yes. And so, like, despite all the hurdles or comments or reasons, I kept going, because I guess it was also like what Santi said, like, like when you give, it gave me joy, and I guess that's how it made me happy, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think because that's one thing that sometimes when I got really tired also, because you keep on giving, you felt like, when am I gonna get anything from this, right? But I always go back to the why I started this. It's like always going back to the why, not to the what.
Yes.
That we sometimes forget about the why, and we just focus on the what and the how,
So good.
right? So that always gives me the fuel to bounce back. You just have to really have a really deep understanding why you're doing these certain things, because sometimes we just get lost in the middle of it, because a lot of things going on, things can go wrong.
Yeah.
Your focus.
We're focused just like
so many
go
things,
out of whack, right? So what you need to do is just be centered with yourself and ask yourself again, why did you even do this in the first place? Why?
Yeah, I find this perspective really interesting, because Regina was asking what's holding us back, right?
Yeah.
So it would be the price you pay, right? But I think for many people, it's not even about that. It's about actually thinking, who am I to do anything,
not
right?
good enough.
Or we see so many issues around us, and I mean, we can complain about so many things. I'm like, oh, the infrastructure here is so bad, I mean, or I don't like the way, like that the craftsman cannot get the design right in Indonesia. There's nothing interesting. I mean, like this is just an example, like out of the...
Or like the disparity we see in the income in the
you can-
poor and the rich.
I'm like,
right?
why is there such a gap between poor and rich? I can't stand seeing, like that difference, and it's a price that we all pay, that we have to live with each other that way, right? Like, why is the government not doing anything about this? And I mean, there's so much we can complain, and then also, but if we would actually find ourselves in a position actually asking ourselves, what is it that I can do? Sometimes it would look so big and so unachievable.
Yeah, so
We're like,
daunting,
I don't think I can do that. I'm not capable of that, right? And we see something so big, and even though I think changes can happen like daily in daily steps and in really small things, like and I see that's what I see here. Like you, for example, you probably go in Fred Heli, right? You source all these beautiful products, and you kind of get the best out of the craftsmanship, right? So it's one product at a time that you work on, and it's one craftsman that you like with your collaboration improve. You get the excellence out of them, and probably put a feeling of pride into their craft, into them, right? And that's not something that happens. It's not something really big, but those little things that you do consistently, and it's like kind of it's become your mindset. It's become what you just do.
Yeah.
Then suddenly looks much more achievable, right? And I think so, yeah, I think sometimes it just looks too big for us, you know, or we think we have to do it all by ourselves and don't see that other people are also working on improving
That's why
things.
it's very important to surround yourself with people who can lift you up. I think that is very important. Like one was saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Because that is so true. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, because you're the people that you surround yourself with is either bring you down or bring you up at that one point, because we can never going further alone. You know, we need people to help us. But then what's holding us back, I like when you said, it's not even thinking about the price that we have to pay, it's even thinking about, do I have enough to make the change? Am I enough? Am I good enough? You know, what if I do this and I fail? What will people say about me? You know, I've already talked about such a big dream and I never achieved my dream. You know what people are going to say about me? Or maybe, oh, you know, I'm just a mom, or I'm just a staff in the office. What can I do? So what I'm start to think sometimes is, you don't have to think big when you want to make the change. You can make a change at your home. It's as simple as that. You can make the change in yourself. Because like you said, the start of everything is the acceptance of yourself. If you don't want to change yourself, you can never change the world, or you can never change others. Like Michael Jackson always say, you know, the man in the mirror. Like if you want to do something, you look at the man in the mirror. That's where the change is supposed to start.
Wow.
Right? You need to look inside you. Yes, you have purpose. You know, I think big, but then I can do small. For example, you can actually chip in some monies every month to support some children studying in those villages. It doesn't take it doesn't take a big step for you to build an organization, non-profits, or so on and so forth. You can start small.
With like the extra
helping, for example,
150,000 per month that you actually donate to something
your
like that.
mates' children.
Yes, correct.
You know, like my dad used to help all the drivers' children. He paid all the tuition fee. That's how I learned that you can make a change in someone else's life. You know the saying they say, for one person, you can be the world for that.
That
person.
research. You know, like she was saying, like you don't. You don't have to be, you know, that someone for everyone. It could just start with one soul. And I really love like how
for that soul, you are their everything.
You're their everything. You're that one thing, and you actually change one life. And usually sometimes it's that one, you know, sometimes that one life that we touch, you never know is going to be that
probably
next
one day
big
that person
thing.
is the president.
Who knows, right? I mean, how do you know what impact it has? If, for example, let's use the helper example, right? Because in Indonesia, we tend to have helpers because labor is so cheap.
Yes.
And it's too cheap. Honestly, it's too cheap. Do you know what difference it makes if you pay a fair wage to your helper? We don't actually know, but maybe their children don't have a problem going to school, right? And then, maybe they can actually afford going to university after finishing school. And all these contributions that we make by just paying a fair wage in our household, that can really make the change to someone studying, being capable of, you know, like bringing better education into this country. It has so many repercussions, right?
Not only that, I think it will be the change of their attitudes towards things. They will feel appreciated. That is a very big, you know, things that they can change. Like they feel that you really appreciate their effort, and not only because of only the money amount, because that's the kind of feel that a lot like human
a seed
need
of
to have.
kindness that you put inside them, right?
And maybe it will inspire them to do so also for other persons. So
and that domino.
Right, the domino effect.
Of our small actions, basically.
You just never know. That's my motto sometimes. You know, when you do good for other people, you just never know what can happen.
You shouldn't think like
You
that.
shouldn't think like, okay,
what's my self-benefit,
What's
right?
benefit if I help? You never know. It may not be on this generation.
It could be the next.
It could be on the
exactly.
next generation. That's why I admire
What
moms.
world? And I do think about that. What world will my children live in, right? And the seeds that I sow with the change that I bring in my small scope that I'm capable of, or that I can see and that I'm, you know, that I'm supported with, then it will shape the place, the world that my children are going to live in. And that matters. It matters for them. It might not matter for me now, but it will have an effect on them.
And I always think, like, what's holding you back, because you're so afraid to try new things, you're so afraid to achieving your dreams, but actually we all have the purpose inside of us. And don't think of something too big when we talk about how to be the change, and you think that, okay, I have to improve myself. Yes, that's true, and I have to have a lot of money to make the change. No, it's not.
No.
The change can be in your community, the change can be in your family. You can have the whole money in the world, you can have a big organization, but if you don't bring impact to your family, I think that is sad, because your family can never benefit out of it.
Actually, I like that point because so there is this wonderful quote that I read the other day, and it's by, so he's a regional UNICEF ambassador and a Korean superstar. So his name is Choi Si-won, and it's somebody that I have a lot of admiration for. And he said this quote, right? Like, it is good for us to create a better world, right? But it is more important to have better children for the world. And when I read that quote, as a woman, it really struck a chord inside of me, because I'm thinking like, wow, we women, we are natural born nurturers, right? And what we choose to shape children will determine the kind of people that they are, and then the kind of people that they are going to determine, like you said, the seed that we plant today as women. Like you said, even that seed of kindness for our helper, that kind of choices that we women make collectively is going to impact the next generation. Us planting that seed, paying a fair wage, would allow us to, have better children. And better children means better people, and then better people create a better world. And I think another question I would love to like ask you girls is like, because I think our standards of better matters, right? It goes hand in hand. We're always like, oh, you got to be better. We got to be better. But what is the benchmark of better, right? Because I think we women, like, we have moral responsibility in this God-given gift. So what do we want in our nurturing force to shape young minds? So like, what kind of minds, how do we want to shape them? What do we want to put into action? What kind of like loving force or positive world that we want to see, that we need to take role to like, plant that seed? Like, for example, like, I'm thinking about this right now. I'm looking at you, you're a mother, and you were just mentioning, right? I'm trying to envision the world for my children. And like the three of us, we're aunts, and I'm, knowing Santi, like she, aside from all the great things that you've done as a girl boss, woman leader, speaker, and you go around teaching people, but you're also that aunt that, your nephews look up to, and that's your nurturing force. That's the power we hold inside of us, right?
Yeah, I think it's really important for if we have a message for all the single girls out there.
Oh yeah,
Like us.
or like
We just have, how the people always said that you have to get married, you have to have kids at a certain age and all that stuff. Well, we need to really realize that it's not important that's not the end of destination. There's actually just a journey that everyone has, and everyone has different kinds of journey and timing, in their lives. So what I'm trying to say here, even though you're a single woman,
yes,
you still have that nurturing, nature in you. You don't have to have your own
Children.
babies.
Yeah.
It can be your nephews, your friends' kids,
Yeah, exactly,
It could be some other younger generations.
Your subordinates in the office.
Exactly.
The new recruits.
Right, you recruit maybe younger, talents, or you work together with a lot of other people who are actually trying to look for mentorship. So we can actually do that as a, it could be very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, mentoring. Yeah. I mean, it takes a village to raise a child,
It
right?
does.
Yeah.
It truly
Yeah.
does.
It
Wow.
takes a village.
Yeah.
It
It
does.
cannot-
Yes.
I honestly think it cannot be on the mom's shoulders alone. It will be like
Cannot
so
be.
bad if it's just on the mom.
Exactly. So I think we as women, we have that responsibility to be nurturers for the next generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I liked, when just now another word that just popped up as you were sharing that is sometimes we think purpose needs to be huge, because the word is another overused word. Purpose, like empowerment, is so overused. But sometimes your purpose or your calling could be just being that amazing aunt, that amazing
favorite
neighbor, you know, like because one of the biggest impact, the person that had the biggest impact in my life is my nanny. Like, you know, she went through a lot of crises in her, you know, ups and downs in her life, but she has just still been the most loving, most gentle person, and she just has so much love, and she's gone through world wars. I mean, she's 90 this year, right? And she came from a very comfortable upbringing, but because of the wars and all these circumstances of the history of life that she's lived through, Great Depression, all that, right? She couldn't have an education, right? She you know, but to have a woman who is so simple in the way she lives and so loving in the way she lives, that alone, you know, sometimes when I ask her, I say, how did you decide that you want to take care of children? And you know, because we're talking about purpose and calling and nurturing, she's just like, and she just simply answers, she's like, I don't know, I just always loved children, and even when I was a teenager, I liked to, you know, go to the neighbors and carry the, you know, someone else's baby, and I always get reprimanded or punished for doing that because my mother was so afraid I was going to drop someone else's child. But she's like, it was just in me. It was just something I was fixated on and I had so much love for, and she just found her calling. And it's, you know, we think that there's nothing great, but for my family, my nanny has impacted my parents' 4 children in such a way, so greatly that you know, she's irreplaceable in my life, and I'll be completely devastated. And like now I'm talking about her, I'm like,
I know.
getting emotional.
You love her so much.
I love her so much, you know.
But that's, I feel like that's like one of those superpowers that we women hold, right? We can be that person for other people. It doesn't have to be even our own children, right? And I think if we discover that in ourselves, that's just that will really bring that change. And I think, you know, you probably learn values from her. You learn how to be a good person, and maybe we don't have an exact idea how we want that world to look like, you know, like, but we want it to be better.
Yeah, I was listening to JJ just now talking about how your nanny impacted your life, and then Lola talking about how you raised the children. And you know, I always say, I quote this a lot, that there is no greater time in the world where women should stand up for what we believe and what we thought, you know. And but the point is, you need to know what you believe in. When you talk about purpose, it seems like, oh my God, I haven't found my purpose, Regina. I was like, yeah, it's a journey. Purpose is not a destination. Purpose is always a journey. It's a journey of finding your purpose. And don't stuck in a moment whereby I don't have purpose, I cannot make the change. I need to find out first what I want to do in life. I said, then you do whatever you can. And then it's a journey while you are on a journey. And then you will find your purpose. Not everybody was born and know what they want to do in life.
In fact, actually, most of us don't know,
it took me a while. Even until now, sometimes I was like, am I supposed to do this? You know, and it's a journey. Some people think purpose is a destination, like, you know, I need to have this purpose. But I said, then along the way, stand up for what you believe, think about what you believe in, and how you can make a change even in a small little things in your environment. Because the change starts from you, the smaller circle of your life, and then go into a bigger circle of your life.
The ripple effect.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect, but it has to come
from
here. Like you said, acceptance, changes, you know, forget those fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, or the thoughts that I'm nobody. No, you are somebody. You are you. Nobody can do your job.
Nobody can be you.
Only you can do your job. Only you can raise your children. Only you can be, you know, doing this coaching. I can surely never be able to replace you. Only you can do this kind of things. So don't belittle yourself. That's the point.
So
you know, sometimes you belittle yourself a little bit too much and think other a little bit too high. But in fact, they may not be the real reason. If only women can work together and support each other, you know, and looking at the best side of each person, I think it could be just a better world. That's what I think.
Wow.
Absolutely.
What a day. I mean, like, wow. Thank you, ladies, for, you know, like this, just the conversation today has been just so powerful and so engaging, and it really how do you say, it really affirms me that we are, it's in our hands, the future that we envision. And it really, I feel so honored to be surrounded by all of you, and it gives me more conviction to just continue pursuing, this passion of empowering women with other amazing women. It's that belief that we can, empower the future together, and I really love that. And to our audience, I hope that today our conversation has been able to give you some good takeaways. We send you a lot of love and a lot of light, as always.
Yes, and don't forget to click the subscribe button, and also follow us on Facebook and Instagram under @thepowderroomtalk. Thank you so much, and please comment below if you have any input or any ideas of what we should talk about next.
Just put that in the comment box below. So we can talk about what you wanted us to talk about. It's nice, right?
Once again, Santi, we love you. Thank you
you.
for
Thank
being with us.
Feelings mutual.
Yes, thank you for having us in this beautiful space.
Yes, I love
My
this place so
pleasure.
much,
Our pleasure.
I'm gonna go shopping after this for sure.
Oh, me too. I have a few items that I
Way
ordered.
of empowering you.
There you go. I like that.
Yes.
Empower your pocket.
Exactly. More shopping money.
Thank you again, and till next time
Bye-bye.
at the Powder
See you.
Room.
Bye-bye.